What if one day, without warning, everything you loved was taken from you? Your children gone, your home destroyed, your wealth stolen or burned to ashes, your health shattered. What if the very people meant to comfort you told you it was your fault? And what if God Himself was silent? Would you still trust Him? This is the story of a man who walked through the deepest darkness of his life without losing faith. His name was Job. There once lived a man named Job in the land of Uz. He was blameless and upright, a man who feared God and stayed away from evil. Job was wealthy and respected. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned thousands of animals, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, 500 donkeys. He was considered the greatest man among all the people of the East. One day, the angels came to present themselves before God, and Satan came with them. "Where have you come from?" asked the Lord. Satan answered, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." The Lord said, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and shunning evil." Satan replied, "Does Job fear God for nothing? You have put a hedge around him and blessed him. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." God said, "Very well, everything he has is in your power, but do not lay a finger on the man himself." And so the test began. One ordinary day, messengers began arriving. The first came running, breathless. The oxen were plowing and the donkeys grazing when the Sabaeans attacked. They killed the servants. I am the only one who escaped.
The Chaldeans have raided
Before he finished speaking, another burst in. Fire fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants. I alone escaped. Then a third. The Chaldeans formed raiding parties and carried off the camels. The servants were killed. I alone escaped. While he was still speaking, a fourth rushed in. Your sons and daughters were feasting at their brother's house. A mighty wind struck the house. It collapsed. They are dead. I alone escaped. In moments, Job's world was stripped bare. His wealth destroyed, his household shattered, his children gone. Job stood up. He tore his robe. He shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Again, Satan appeared before God. Again, God asked, "Have you considered my servant Job? He still maintains his integrity." Satan answered coldly, "Skin for skin. A man will give all he has for his own life. Strike his flesh and bones, he will curse you." God said, "He is in your hands, but spare his life." Satan struck Job with painful boils from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. His skin blistered and cracked. He sat among the ashes outside the city. He scraped his sores with broken pottery. His wife looked at him and said, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die." But Job replied, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar, 3 friends came to comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they barely recognized him. They wept. They tore their robes. They sprinkled dust on their heads. They sat with him for 7 days and 7 nights in silence. Then Job spoke. He cursed the day of his birth. Let the day perish on which I was born. He wished he had died at birth. He wished for peace. His friends could no longer remain silent. Eliphaz said, "No innocent man suffers like this. Perhaps you have sinned." Bildad said, "If you were truly pure, God would restore you." Zophar said, "God sees your wickedness. Repent before it is too late." But Job insisted on his innocence. He cried out for God to answer. And somewhere beyond the storm clouds, God was listening. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm.
Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you know. Who marked off its size? Who stretched the measuring line across it? Have you ever commanded the morning to appear? Can you guide the stars in their path across the sky? Do you send the lightning? Do you give the horse its strength? Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or provide food for the ravens?
God painted a picture of his power over the heavens, the seas, the storms, and all living creatures, from bison to eagles, from mountains to the deep ocean, from wild beasts to fearsome leviathans, creatures that no one could subdue. God continued,
Can you pull in Leviathan with a hook? Can you put a rope through his nose? Who then is able to stand against me?
Job was humbled. I am unworthy. I spoke of things I did not understand. I had heard of you before, but now my eyes have seen you. I take back what I said. The Lord rebuked Job's friends.
You and your 2 friends have not spoken the truth about me like my servant Job has. Offer a burnt offering for yourselves, and my servant Job will pray for you.
They offered sacrifices. Job prayed for them. And the Lord restored Job's fortunes. He gave him twice as much as before. 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 oxen, 1,000 donkeys, again. 7 sons and 3 daughters. Job lived another 140 years. He saw his children and grandchildren to the 4th generation, and he died old and full of years. Satan had accused Job before God. He claimed Job only worshipped because he was blessed. The accuser still whispers today, "You only believe when life is good. You must have done something wrong." But faith is not a transaction. Faith is trust, even in silence. Being faithful does not mean life will be easy. We will face pain, we will face loss, we will face questions. But even in those moments, we are called to trust. God's wisdom is greater than ours. His purpose is deeper than we see, and in His time, He restores. You are not alone, and His love is greater than any storm. If this story encouraged you, please consider subscribing. It truly helps us continue sharing stories like this.